If you're thinking about moving to Castro Valley, you need to know it's not a perfect town. But after being here for years, I've seen the good, the bad, and everything in between. We've officially called Castro Valley home since 2001, but I've been coming here to visit friends and family since the late 90s. I've watched this place transform from a quiet, sleepy bedroom community into a high-demand, vibrant East Bay hub it is today in 2026. My family and I reflect on all the changes here all the time, and today I want to share with you the unfiltered list of pros and cons of actually living here and buying a home in this market. I'm going to give you that list starting right now. The first thing we need to talk about is either a pro or a con depending on who you are, and that is Castro Valley's unique identity. We are the largest unincorporated community in the East Bay. And what that means is we have no mayor and no city council. A lot of people move here from places like San Francisco or Oakland or the Peninsula expecting a traditional city structure. But they get here and realize we are technically governed by the county. For some, that's a huge pro because it often means less political bureaucracy and fewer layers of city-specific taxes than you'd find in neighboring towns. But for others, it can feel like a lack of local control. You'll notice that we don't have our own police department. We are served by the Alameda County Sheriff. Since we don't have a city hall, our community identity is tied much more to our local landmark, like our new library or the marketplace or the Castro Valley Village. Now, I will say this, in my experience living here, the fact that we're unincorporated, it doesn't really affect our day-to-day life. Your trash still gets picked up, the schools are obviously top tier, and the sheriff's department is incredibly responsive. Realistically, you get the benefits of the county's massive resources without the local political drama of a small town, city council. It just gives Castro Valley this distinct village feel that has stayed consistent even as the rest of the Bay Area has become more urbanized. Whether you love that independent vibe or you prefer the structure of a formal city, it's the very first thing you need to understand before you start looking at homes here. Now, before we get to the next point, I want to address something important. We get calls, texts, and emails from people just like you all the time. People who are looking to make a move to Castro Valley or the East Bay in the next 10, 20, 30, or even 6 months down the line. We absolutely love it. So if that is you, don't be shy, hit the link in the video description or reach out to us directly. My team and I would love to help you navigate this market and find the right home for your family. Now, the next thing my wife and I were talking about, and for me, this is a massive pro, is Castro Valley's location as the hub of the East Bay. Since I've been coming here since the late 90s, I've seen the Bay Area traffic get very complicated and very congested. But Castro Valley is unique because we are geographically at the heart of everything. We also have our own BART station right in the middle of town, which is a game changer if you work in San Francisco or Oakland, or even all the way to Silicon Valley because BART goes there now. But it's not just a train. Because of where we sit, you have immediate access to the 580, the 880, and 238, and even 680. You can get to Silicon Valley, the Tri-Valley, or to the city in a way that's much more manageable than if you live further out. If you're someone who wants a suburban neighborhood feel, but you still need to be able to get to major tech hubs or the city for work and play, the location here is one of the biggest reasons people choose Castro Valley over anywhere else in the East Bay. Now, another thing that we talk about, and I definitely call this a con, if you're a sun seeker, this is our hyper-local microclimates. Castro Valley is literally a valley surrounded by the hills. So the weather changes drastically depending on which pocket you live in. I see this every single day. I live up in the Columbian neighborhood, and in the mornings when I head out for a walk or an early bike ride, it is significantly colder at the top of the hill than it is by the time I get down to the bottom near the boulevard. It's like moving through different climate zones in just a few blocks. But then I talk to my clients who live either in Five Canyons or Palomares, and they have a completely different experience. They might deal with more wind because of how they're positioned, but they don't always get the same cold, I call it cold sink effect that we have over here in Colombia. Again, since back in the 90s when I've been coming here, I've realized that you can't just check Castro Valley weather app. You have to know which hill you're on. You can be in Dublin or Pleasanton where it's a beautiful 85 degrees, but then the second you drive through the canyon, the temperature drops and the fog rolls in. If you're buying a home here, you're buying into a lifestyle where you keep a hoodie in your car year-round, especially if you live in the higher elevations like I do. It catches a lot of buyers off guard, which is why it's so important to know exactly which neighborhood fits the climate you actually want to live in. The next big pro we have to talk about is the food and drink scene here. And I'll be the first to admit it. For a long time, I used to say this was a boring place. Since I've been visiting friends here since the late 90s, I remember when we literally had to leave town for almost everything. If you wanted a great meal, if you wanted to get drinks, or just a modern atmosphere to hang out in, you were getting in your car, driving to Oakland or the city or over to Pleasanton. Now, I want to be realistic with you. We're not San Francisco or downtown Oakland. We're not even quite to Pleasanton level yet. But today, you can legitimately have a nice dinner and a great night out without ever crossing the town line. Between the transformation of the marketplace downtown and the new spots popping up, all along the boulevard, we finally have places with real vibe. You can get artisan food, hit the wine bar, or grab a high quality meal and actually feel like you're part of a vibrant community. As someone who's seen the sleepy version of town for decades, the fact that we no longer have to, export our fun to other cities, this is a massive win for anyone looking to buy here in 2026. Another thing my wife and I were reflecting on, and this is a huge pro, is the incredible variety of neighborhoods we have here. I've watched these different pockets really come into their own. Back when I was coming here, places like Five Canyons or parts of Palomares, they were just getting established. Now they're mature and highly desired neighborhoods with amazing amenities. But what's great about buying here in 2026 is that you're not stuck with just one vibe. You have the higher elevation hills like Green Ridge, Briar Ridge, or where I live in Colombia, where you get that secluded, quiet feel and some incredible views. And then you have lower Castro Valley. I don't want to overlook this because for a lot of my buyers, this is the sweet spot. It's closer to the boulevard, it's flatter, and has that classic suburban charm with mid-century ranch homes on wider streets. It's where you find a lot of that walkable potential and the easiest access to BART. It's not a one-size-fits-all, suburb. Every pocket has a different wind pattern, a different commute time, and different feel. That's exactly why so many people reach out to us, because we help you navigate which of these specific neighborhoods is actually the right fit for your lifestyle. Now, one of the biggest cons of Castro Valley, I have to be honest here, is the skyrocketing cost of living and the sheer reality of our real estate market. Ever since I can remember, when Castro Valley was often seen as the affordable secret compared to places like San Ramon or Pleasanton or Danville. Today in 2026, that secret is officially out. Ever since we moved here back in 2001, I've seen this market go through a major transformation. As a Castro Valley neighborhood specialist, I'm looking at these numbers every single day. And the reality is that our median home price is now hovering right around 1.1 million. We've had that nuclear growth where everyone realized you get the top tier schools and the central location without having to live in the deep suburbs of the Tri-Valley. Buying a home here takes serious strategy. Even with the recent market shifts we've seen recently, homes here are still going pending in about 17 days on average. It's a highly competitive environment where you'll see multiple offers on the right properties. For a lot of families, the cost of entry can be a shock, and you might find yourself looking at homes that need a little love just to get into the zip code that you want. This is exactly why so many people reach out to us. As a Castro Valley specialist, I help my clients understand the inventory before it hits the portal. You need to know which pockets are currently undervalued and have a plan to win in less than 3 weeks. It's an investment, yes, but for the people who make it work, The long-term equity and the community benefits are why they never want to leave. Now, building off that traffic point, we have to look at another reality of living here, and that's the fact that you are going to be very dependent on your car. My history with this town goes a couple of decades now, and looking back to the late 90s, the conversation was always the same. You're not going anywhere without a set of keys. While the BART station is a huge win for getting out of town, once you're actually in Castro Valley, public transport is pretty limited. It's not like San Francisco or even parts of Oakland where you can reliably survive on a bus or a bike. And I always point this out to the families during our tours. If you live in the lower flatlands, sure, you might be able to bike down the marketplace or go to your local coffee shop. But if you're up in the hills, like with me in Colombia, or all the way in Palomares, or even Green Ridge or Jensen Ranch, you are driving for everything: groceries, school drop-offs, and errands. Most people moving here in 2026 see the suburban charm as a pro, but the trade-off is that one-car household are really tough to pull off here. You have to factor that car-centric lifestyle into your daily routine when you're planning your move. Now, if you're asking why people are willing to pay for those high prices and deal with the traffic, the answer is almost always the schools. For me, as a Castro Valley neighborhood specialist, this is the #1 driver of our real estate market in 2026. I've watched this town evolve over the past 25 years, and the one thing that has remained a constant anchor is the Castro Valley Unified School District. The community is incredibly invested in our local education. When I'm out touring homes with buyers, we're not just looking at the number of bedrooms. We are looking at the specific school assignments. Whether it's Proctor, Marshall, or Van Noy, these schools are consistently top ranked, and that reputation creates a massive shield around your property value. Even when the broader Bay Area market gets shaky, Castro Valley tends to hold its own because there's always a line of families waiting to get into this district. I always tell my clients, you aren't just buying a house here. You're buying a seat in one of the best educational systems in the East Bay. It's your investment for your kids' future, but from a real estate perspective, it's also the best insurance policy you can have for your home's long-term equity. If schools are a top priority for your move, this is the main reason Castro Valley should be at the top of your list. One of the absolute biggest pros for me, and one of the main reasons my family and I love living here, is the direct access to the outdoors. Most of the people don't realize just how much open space is tucked into our little corner of the East Bay. The crown jewel is obviously Lake Chabot. It's over 300 acres of water surrounded by redwood trees and miles of trails. In 2026, it's better than ever. You can rent boats or kayaks, spend the morning fishing for trout, or grab a coffee at the Marina Cafe. It truly feels a world away from the hustle of the Bay Area, even though it's right in our backyard. Then you have Cal Canyon and Don Castro. The swim lagoons at these parks are a total lifesaver during those warm summer months. They've got sandy beaches and the lifeguards, and it's a much more mellow community vibe than you'll find in a big water park. I see how much these amenities impact property values. When I'm walking through a home in Columbia or Green Ridge, I'm pointing out the trailheads that connect directly to the Bay Area Ridge Trail. You can literally walk out your front door and be on the ridge with views of the entire bay in minutes. Having lived here since 2001, I've realized I often take for granted that I don't have to drive 45 minutes to find nature. It's right here. If you're an active person or just want your kids to grow up with some dirt under their fingernails, the park system in Castro Valley is arguably the best hidden benefit of buying in this town. So while Castro Valley isn't a perfect town for the right person, it's one of the best places to call home in the entire Bay Area. I've watched this community grow and change for over 25 years. And even though we've seen the prices go up and traffic get heavier, that village feel and the quality of life here are stronger than ever in 2026. At the end of the day, moving here is all about strategy. You have to know which hill fits your weather preferences, which neighborhood puts you in the right school assignment, and which morning commute route is actually going to work for you. As a Castro Valley neighborhood specialist, that is exactly what I do. My team and I help families navigate these specific pockets every single day to make sure they aren't just buying a house, but they're buying in the right community. If you're thinking about making a move, whether it's 10 days, 90 days, or even 1 year from now, don't hesitate to reach out. Give me a call, shoot me a text, or send an email. All my contact info is in the description below. We'd love to help you make Castro Valley your home too. Thanks for watching, and check out my other channel for more home tips.